So, welcome to week 2 of FPL Faff with Jez, Jack, and Jim. I'm Jez.
I'm Jack.
And I'm Jim.
So, guys, it's week 2.
Like Jeremy, who did you captain? Who did you captain?
I'm not even done introducing the episode. I haven't told all of our thousands of listeners who we're talking about this week. So, for our listeners out there, the golden rule is look at the fixtures, look at who's at home, and make your captain choice accordingly. I did not follow the rules, and consequently, I vice-captained Mo Salah, who scored a hat-trick, and consequently, I feel like killing myself.
Oh, raw.
Yeah.
James,
No,
who did you captain?
I captained Salah because, he was at home to a newly promoted side. Leeds were incredible. The game was like one of the best games I've seen for a long time. But yeah, he scored a hat-trick. We all discussed in the previous post where, he is on the pens and it's home over away.
I even said that. I said that.
Yeah.
Why did I not listen to myself?
So, yeah. Get wrecked, Jez. Get wrecked.
Oh.
But yeah, so I captained Salah and I vice-captained Aubameyang. And yeah, I'm very, very happy with how it turned out.
I did exactly the same move. The one thing I definitely wanted to stress was if you didn't captain Salah, I don't think, and all seriousness, because I would love to go on a rant of making jokes about Jeremy not captaining Salah. But I wouldn't feel too disheartened. I looked at him and his stats. You take away those penalties, he had a very average game. I don't think he was Liverpool's best player. I know they won. I know he scored 3 out of 4 goals. He was not their best player. I wouldn't be too disheartened, but the one thing that is clear, not just from this game, but probably sets a precedent for going forward, is you're talking about a player who, yes, he is 12 million, but he's had 3 seasons in a row of over 200 points. He's now on penalties for the Premier League champions. He's going to have these kind of game weeks where doesn't even matter if he doesn't play well, he's going to be raking in the points.
100%.
I mean, we'll get to what our points were later on in the pod, but he's given me 40 points on game week 1 straight off the bat, and he didn't have a good game. But the difference in 40 points, I know some teams who haven't even got 40 points at all. They haven't even got close to that.
So there's mistakes, and then there's those people who didn't have Mo Salah at all, and that's next level. Come on.
I mean, they might be playing a different tactic, with United and City coming in, which I don't want to change the topic just yet. We will get back onto that, which is huge. Yeah.
So Mo Salah 40 points and he didn't have a good game, and here I am feeling like an idiot.
But besides Mo Salah, because it's easy to talk about him. I mean, how did everyone's first game week go?
So I will just jump in here. Sorry, Jez. I do all the time. I was talking about Lascelles and I butchered his name the first pod, and I did panic, literally panic buy, and I changed him out last minute before the start of the game week for Walker Peters. Mistake.
Big mistake.
I also took out Gabriel for John Egan. Huge mistake. He's on -1
mistake.
right now. And, I'm telling you right now, I have already made my transfer for game week 2. Literally after the first game, and this confirms it. And I have taken out John Egan. Might be a bit rash at the moment, but I'm confident, and it's for the long term. He's out, and I doubt I'm going to bring him back in. And also, I'm debating to take out, actually to do a -8, -8 points to get a couple more transfers in. Without,
look at their fixtures though.
Use the wild card just yet.
Look at Sheffield's fixtures. They've got Villa, then they've got Leeds in the next 2 game weeks. You sure?
Yeah, well, it's already done now. I've locked in.
Not only that. I mean, Arsenal, as good as they were game week 1, I actually do, as an Arsenal fan, I'm hoping that we do have a good season. But The next game is West Ham. I think we'll keep another clean sheet because West Ham are going down.
Yep.
After that, Liverpool, Sheffield United, City, Leicester, Man U. That is a pretty awful next 5 games. I'd be hesitant to get in a defender for that run. But actually, at the same time, I'm kind of contradicting myself because I'm looking to keep Aubameyang for, well, probably the majority of the season, really. He's that good.
Too.
So I'm contradicting myself there. But it's a bold move to make, Jim, especially -8 at this stage.
Yeah.
I think it's a difference. I think that it's different with defenders and with midfielders. Like someone like Aubameyang, it doesn't matter how they're playing. It doesn't matter if they're getting thrashed. You know, if he gets on the ball, he's liable to do something, you know?
Yeah.
And he's, you know, clean sheets are nice for him because now he's a midfielder, but really you've got Aubameyang in because he scores goals.
So Jez, tell me a little bit more about what you're planning for game week 2. You've obviously had a shocker. There were mentions of a wild card, but I'd like to know kind of where you're at with your thinking right now.
So, okay, here's my thing. Like I've been playing this through in my head, and there's a few different variations of this.
And you sent me so many pictures already.
Look, there's at least 6 different wildcard teams that I could be lining up with. So on the one hand, I'm like, okay, you know, I still had an okay week. I didn't captain Salah, and that's cost me, but you know, that's not the end of the world. It is a long season. I'll get back there, and at least I had him in my side in the first place. But I can either play my wild card now, which is very risky if I should get any injuries, and you know, because then if I play my wild card, I'll be looking to have 2 or 3 absolute garbage players in my team, and I'm going to get huge on my midfield. So my thinking, if I do that, is in the midfield I've got Kevin De Bruyne, Salah, Aubameyang, Fernandes, and Greenwood. But then that means that the rest of my team is bare.
What a big 5 in there. I mean, there's no question. Like, I dread to think what the defense and strikes look like, but
I know. Do you think Jez is like cutting himself a bit thin there, like going all in that way? I mean, I hear what he's saying. I know, Jez, I get it, but like,
so yes, I do. All I'll say is the season's 38 game weeks long. Mm-hmm. You have 2 wild cards. And you can use the second wild card from game week 17 onwards. So you've got 16 game weeks to consider playing a wild card. You know, law of averages, you play it on game week 8 and chances are you'll be fine. To play it on game week 2, for me, feels rash for anyone. But
yeah, I get that.
Unless you've picked Ben Chilwell, David Luiz, you know, players who were like injured and actually couldn't play and got 0 points, then I'd say absolutely why you're not doing it already. But I think I would certainly wait a few more weeks to see how things pan out. You know, like if you captained Salah, I don't think you'd be even considering a wild card, which is not, for me, not a reason to do a wild card if you're looking at a captain choice.
So my reasoning is this. You know, I said last week on the podcast that immediately following the Liverpool game that I was going to get Salah out and I was going to get Son out and I would get Kevin De Bruyne and I would get Fernandes in.
I think it's a mistake to get him out.
He's just gone and scored a hat-trick and I can't take him out now, can I?
I mean, you can.
You can, and there are a lot of options.
That's playing with fire, though.
He's on pens. He's on pens for Liverpool. And I look at their attack. You've got Firmino, Mane, Salah himself. Like, these are tricky players, and quite often, you know, look at Vardy, especially with VAR. Vardy, again, similar situation, scored 2 goals yesterday.
That's an important point.
Both from pens.
VAR.
You've got to be looking at the players who
it's going to play a huge role.
Pens for their club. It's important. We're going to see a lot more of that this season. Yeah, Bruno Fernandes, as good as he was last season, a lot of his goals came from pens.
But that's the thing, though. You know, get him in not because he's necessarily the best player or because, you know, he creates everything, even though he kind of does, but because he's on pens. And so that's why I'm really trying to look at maxing out my midfield and having just players who either take free kicks in dangerous positions or they're on pens.
For sure. I think for me, it's like trusting your decision making. Like, you know, you're smart.
You have to go with the gut, man.
You've got to go with your gut, 100%. For me personally, I've had a number of shit game weeks over, you know, the years I've been playing FPL, but I probably wouldn't let it sway me so much that I want to completely change the whole of my team. But more importantly, it's not even changing the team for no minus points. It's using the most valuable chip in the game at such an early stage, if for me it feels rash, but
it's a big gamble.
This is the beauty of the game,
It is a big gamble, but
have you made your first transfer already? Your free first transfer already? Because I recommend doing that before your wild card anyway, because it's like I don't know, you're going to lose that free transfer anyway, so why not use it?
Yeah, I mean, well, the other thing is, if I'm not going to use it, then I'm just going to bank that transfer, and then in game week 3, if I want to make a double switch, because the issue I've got at the moment is the only players I can get out to get in either Fernandes or Kevin De Bruyne is Salah and Aubameyang. So I need to make a double switch.
Well, it depends. Do you think
if I want to make
Salah's
anything happen,
turn up away to Chelsea?
Honestly, probably not. But you can never count him out. You just don't know what Liverpool's going to do. And I don't think Liverpool were particularly good against Leeds, and I don't think they've been particularly good in any of their preseason games. And if I'm being honest, I think they're probably looking at 3rd or 4th place this year.
Okay.
You think Liverpool are going to finish 4th this year? That is a huge claim at this stage.
I mean, I hope it's
3rd or 4th. In my mind, it's going to be City, then it's going to be Chelsea.
I think Chelsea's probably going to be up there, yeah.
Then probably Liverpool and then Everton. Arsenal. No.
Yeah. You heard it here first.
Yeah, you heard it here first, and it's the only time that it will be said. Yep.
I mean, that's a huge shame. At this stage of the season, I think... again, I go back to pens. I don't want it to be, something that we talk about, because that's not always the case. But Salah, Fernandes, Vardy, like there's enough examples to make that seem something that you should probably bring into your decision making. All the underlying stats are important, but whoever's on pens is quite often someone to consider. I would leave Salah and Aubameyang there. Aubameyang for the last 2 seasons has been Golden Boot. He's going to be there for the 3rd season as well. The only trouble is
that's my thing. But if I can keep those two as my mainstays and also have Kevin De Bruyne and Fernandes, I've got the 4 hottest players in the league.
Completely. This season,
to be honest, I don't see the season being a defender's season.
No, I agree. I think I always liked it, and we talked about it on the last pod. I quite like having at least a 4-4-2 where I'm happy to play both. I'm happy to play 2 strikers, 4 midfielders, and 4 defenders. But I think that's on its head this season. Like the number of what we would deem to be classified strikers that are now midfielders is, now you've got to try and fit in Aubameyang, Salah, Rashford, Hazard, Kevin De Bruyne, Fernandes. Like how the hell do you fit all of those in? Like you can't. Which makes the one striker option a little bit more appealing, but I don't know. It's the flexibility I like.
Jim, you've gone for the one striker option, haven't you?
I have, and it's worth.
Is that something you're going to hold on to?
Depending on what the Chelsea result will be like tonight, because for the listeners, the Chelsea game has not happened yet, and so depending on how they perform, how Havertz and how Werner play for me. It will depend on my next transfers, and if I do, I might even consider doing a wild card myself, which I know is we just discussed, and it's
just ruined me for even contemplating it.
I'm contemplating depending on if they don't, if Havertz does not start, but why spend up to 80 million on a player and don't play him straight away? So.
I guess that the thing is with Chelsea, they've got enough in their midfield to keep them going. If you want to just give them a couple of weeks to integrate with the team. Yeah.
I think they're going to start in very nicely. I honestly think I'm good. Even if Werner doesn't get a goal or assist or even has a poor game, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt for the time being.
To be honest, at 9.5, I think he's a good price, and I think he will do well over the course of the season.
Yeah,
I would be keeping him in my team for the whole year, and he's probably going to start unless he has a terrible start and doesn't get a goal in his first 10.
Yeah,
we'll see.
Which I don't think is likely.
I'm looking for next week. I'm looking at getting rid of one of my defenders. I've already got rid of Egan, so that's already done. My free transfer is gone. I'm looking at getting rid of another defender and a midfielder.
So this brings us to the second golden rule. Mm-hmm. Don't take a -4 or a -8.
Yes.
Don't do it.
Sometimes you have to. And
very occasionally, but
you have to realize though, if you take a -4 and a -8 with the people that you're getting in and you're bringing them in for a reason for them to actually turn up, if they turn up, then it makes it worthwhile. So.
Well, sure, but more often than not, the difference between the two players that you bring in and the two players that you had before, unless one of them's injured, is not going to be 4 points.
I'm not you, Jez. So the ones I bring in actually turn up, and the ones that I take out are going to be shit. Having said that, I did screw up on 2 of my 11, so I'll have to eat some of those words myself.
2 out of 11 though is pretty good, Jim. Have 9 do a solid one for you is good. I actually wanted to talk quickly about who you thought, and we've kind of touched upon it already, but who do you think did well in Game Week 1? I'm actually looking right now at the top transfers in for this particular game week. I'm going to go for I'm going to just list out the top 10 players, nothing more than that, just their names. Number 1, all the way down to 10. Bamford, De Bruyne, Willian, Gabriel, Salah, Fernandez, Wilson, Tyreek Mitchell, Martial, and James Justin. Like the majority of those have played, and they played in Game Week 1 and they did well.
Yeah. A lot of them are just jumping on the bandwagon for turning up in the first game,
They are.
So for I think De Bruyne and Fernandez and Martial to have not even played yet, how many managers have got in there early to say these are the players that I want for the long term?
It's smart. They should do that.
Yeah.
But I guess
it is smart.
Not for the sacrifice for Salah.
Yeah, no.
Well, actually, let's have a look at that. So I've just listed out the top 10 transfers in now.
Unless you do it just for this one game week.
Well, for sure. And now I can kind of cross comparison that to who's gone out. So again, 1 to 10, Son with a staggering 130,000 players have got him out already. That's 20. That is 24 hours after Tottenham have played. I find that amazing.
I think everyone followed the same strategy.
Though.
But also, everyone followed the same strategy as us. He was only there because he was the most expensive, decent player you could get, knowing that you can't get any City or United players.
Also, guys, I don't know why. Sorry, I'm gonna stop everyone right now. I don't know why. Everton fucking won. They beat Spurs at home. Fuck you all. Sorry, not sorry. It cost to my own FPL as well. I had Son. I didn't bank on any Everton players because it's just too real for me.
At least you didn't have Doherty in your side.
I'm like super stoked. So happy.
But I'm gonna read out the top 10 who have been ejected. So I find this interesting because there's actually 4 players in this top 10 who are in my team right now, and I've had a very good week. So they are Son, Alexander-Arnold, Mane, Danny Ings, Mitrovic, Aubameyang, Antonio, Doherty, Saka, sorry, Jez, and Harry Kane. So you're talking about some
3 of those are very poor choices to get out.
Aubameyang, who scored, he's 12 million. He's owned by 47% of all of the 6 million plus players.
And he's playing at home to West Ham.
Unbelievable.
That doesn't make any sense to me. Mikel and Antonio, I totally understand. West Ham are going to have a less than good season.
Yeah.
I think he's going to struggle.
He's got my armband. He's got my armband for this game week as well.
Really?
And for me as well. He is my captain this week, for sure.
Hang on. Sorry, Aubameyang, not Antonio.
Aubameyang.
Yeah,
yes.
I thought you were saying Antonio. I was like, geez. Okay.
No, I've gone for him. Like, why would you not? I mean, look at Salah last week. I captained Salah solely because he was playing at home. And I know that fans play a part, but Liverpool at home last season were phenomenal. But, with fans, without fans.
It's interesting. Like after Project Restart at home, but before it looked like an absolute fortress, but now people are just going in there and scoring goals.
Completely. I mean, it's 7
they've
goals
got no defence, which I'm so happy about.
I don't know how so much has changed. Like Van Dijk looked very, very average.
But he scored as well. I'm just saying.
Yeah, but that has nothing to do with him playing the game. That's he's tall and hard to defend.
Yeah, no, he is. But it was a shocker. In Liverpool leads, there was literally zero defence happening.
Oh, honestly.
They were a mess. I mean, who have they got up next? They got Chelsea course, Chelsea away. So it's a tough. I think we should talk about next week's fixtures now. So we'll go in.
Yeah. Sorry. Just to go back to what you said on the top 10 that are being transferred out, Jack. So. Funny enough, the top 2 on that list are the exact 2 who I'm looking to get out, and that is Alexander-Arnold and Son. And who I'm looking to get in to potentially do a -8 will be Lucas Dean and Fernandes.
Wow. Whoa, I'm jealous of that. I think Luca Dean, last season, I was pro Luca Dean. I've had him in my year the season before, and he was on free kicks. Everton were looking good at the back. He got bonus point potential. Like, he was someone who would just rake in the
He's so consistent last season.
Back pocket point, exactly, back pocket points that you'd hope would carry you through. He was very good.
Yeah.
Last season, I mean, Everton were a mess. If he turns a corner, he would be someone who I would have my eye on. Absolutely. His attacking returns are phenomenal.
And at 6 million, it's like much better than 7.5.
I'll definitely be monitoring how Everton go in the next few games, because like I sort of wrote them off, but they've had a decent transfer window, and now they're looking a bit more solid. If they can keep that consistency for 2 or 3 more weeks, I'll probably be getting him in.
Well, with good reason, right? They were poor last season, and Ancelotti came in halfway through, and he just about kind of steadied the ship. But also, they knew they were going to finish mid-table, so they weren't trying for anything. This time round, they've already got off to a winning start against Tottenham away from home. That's a huge result. That's a huge, massive result. Tottenham, they haven't been Champions League contenders in my eyes for a long time. Even despite making the final 2 years ago, I thought they were so lucky to get on that run.
Absolutely.
To be there and actually, put them toe to toe. Everton were fantastic. The goal did change the game, but they were great off the back. I mean, Everton, they've got West Brom at home this coming week. You've got to think that's goals.
Yeah. Yeah, and a clean sheet, hopefully.
So should we just go through and list off the results that we think are going to happen this week?
Yeah, let's do it.
So let's start. Everton, West Brom.
Everton. I really,
what's the score? What's the score, Jim?
I want it to be 3-0. I think West Brom might score. So let's go 3-1.
I think it's going to be 3-0. I'm going to steal that from you, Jim. I think Everton are onto a winner. I think West Brom are going to. They're down for me. I don't think at the back they're anywhere close to where they need to be for Premier League level. They haven't really reinforced. I thought the fullbacks were poor. Sam Johnson in goal, he's not there. He's not quite at it. I think Everton will walk away with it.
Totally. For me, it's a 2-0 win as well. I can't really see West Brom getting on the board.
Oh yeah, just going back to last podcast, Jack, you called it with the 3-0 on for Leicester. You called that.
Yeah. No, I did. Leicester are a good team. I think they finished really badly last season. During the project restart, they were poor. I think they had injuries across the pitch, a couple of suspensions. They just weren't really there for whatever reason. Brendan Rodgers is one of the best managers in Europe for me. I think he's fantastic. They've obviously locked Jamie Vardy down to a new contract. He seems to be getting better with age. I'm a big fan of Harvey Barnes. He's someone I'm looking at. He wasn't involved in any of the goals last week, but I can see him definitely doing that.
I rate Barnes. And
moving forward.
And
I rate Barnes. Madison looked very tired and kind of poor towards the end of last season. It'll be interesting to see how he starts this season. And of course, he's a free kick taker as well, which can't be undervalued.
I think what he's missing now.
I wouldn't underrate him, man.
What I can imagine running through his mind is he's looking at Harry Winks, Grealish, similar age group who are already in the England fold. He's not there, right? Dele Alli, he's been there. He's kind of in and out of the England team. He's not right now. James Maddison should be in there, and I feel like this season is going to be a big one for him. But he can pull the strings for Leicester. They are very reliant on Jamie Vardy, which is something which with a Champions League campaign that they've got this season as well, something that concerns me about getting him into my team. But with Harvey Barnes, what you've got is someone who's young, energetic, keen to make an impression, and a bit like James Maddison, he's actually interested in getting in the England fold as well. So I've got I've got big expectations for Leicester this year. And everyone's talking about who's going to break into the top 4. Is it Chelsea, United to join Liverpool and City? I wouldn't ignore Leicester. I think they've got a very, very good squad.
For me, I think it comes down to the depth of the squad. And yeah, they've got a very good squad, but I don't think it's quite as deep as some of those other, big teams. And sadly, because it's a little bit more of a condensed season, I think it's going to favor the real big hitters, the ones who've got the money to spend. That's why I feel like a team like Chelsea is going to do so well this year, and I reckon Liverpool are going to struggle because, Liverpool's first 11, I think they could rival any team in the world. But beyond that, apart from maybe in central midfield, there's not a whole lot there. Who's the backup striker? You've got Origi. Is he really good enough to play for the...
I'm sorry, I'm so bitter about Origi.
Look, man, Origi is a club legend, and I think that they should build a statue of him outside Anfield. But realistically, unless it's the 93rd minute and you're up against Everton, you probably want a better player than him to be your backup.
Yeah.
If I'm Liverpool, I'm probably looking at Bournemouth and going, I'll take Josh King off your hands.
Absolutely. Good player.
Yeah,
proven.
That's a good shout. Good shout. Don't know why he's not gone. But yeah, going back to the fixtures, Leeds Fulham, guys, what do you reckon?
I think this is Leeds.
I mean,
it's going to be a good game, I think.
The fact that Leeds put 3 past the reigning champions, I think, is a good feat for anyone, let alone a promoted side. If I'm Scott Parker, the Fulham manager, these are the games that you need to win. You're playing a team who's also been promoted. You're kind of level playing field.
Absolutely.
I think he's going to be naive to the fact that Leeds are a much better team. I think Leeds will win this. I don't think it'll be much. I think 2-0. At the most, it'll be a 2-goal margin. But for Fulham, that'll be a real confidence breaker. They need to win these games just to get some points on the board. They were humiliated by Arsenal on Saturday. Arsenal were fantastic. If Leeds beat them again, it's very, very hard to motivate a team like that.
It's going to be brutal. I also think Leeds are going to win.
Let's talk about Mitrovic just for a second, because they started with Kamara on the weekend, and he was rubbish. I understand that Mitrovic was coming back from international duty, but when he came on towards the end of the game, they looked like a different team. He was getting shots off. He was holding up the ball. I didn't see any of that from Kamara. So,
it was a strange position to start him. To be honest, I wasn't close to Fulham's pre-season. I don't know whether he was banging in goals and he deserved it, or he had been with the squad longer. I'm not sure, but to not start a striker who scored upwards of 25 goals in the Championship last season, and not only that,
it's mad.
Was proven in the Premier League the season before. He was very, very good at scoring goals, and he's a talisman for Fulham. I mean, it was quite amusing personally for me to see a lot of people like Jez bring him into their team for game week 1, and he just not starting him out.
He will start the next 37 game weeks. He will start every single week following this one, guaranteed.
Yeah, he will.
But you did do well with Wilson, Jez. You did do well.
I did. I got Wilson in, and he was huge.
Yeah, Newcastle played really well. I was happy with that.
He and Andy Carroll played off each other so well.
Andy Carroll,
that was incredible.
He had a storming game. He
did
literally throughout was a machine. I think he's going to do more. He's going to be on it this season.
You know what? And I hate Andy Carroll as a Liverpool supporter, but I think he could be a difference maker for Newcastle this year if he stays healthy. You can, literally pair him with Wilson. There's going to be goals.
He looked very good.
Because Wilson loves to get free off the side. All he needs is the service. Andy Carroll's going to give you some service,
Surprisingly, he was strong. And next up, we've got Man U versus Crystal Palace. I don't think this will be as straightforward for United as they're probably anticipating. I know they're at home, first game of the season, want to get off to a good start. I was impressed by Palace last week.
Yeah, I was. It was a game I was not expecting them to win.
I don't think any of us were expecting that.
No,
I think we all went
Southampton.
That wrong.
We messed up on that one.
But at the same time, how many times have we seen Crystal Palace win 1-0 at home? Like that happened many times last season.
They've got so many defensive injuries at the moment. I just thought surely they can't be rock solid and keep it clean.
It must have been just the lack of travel, having the home advantage. But let's be serious. United are gonna destroy Palace.
I totally agree. It's going to be 3-0 at minimum.
They're going to run rampant, honestly.
I'm going to say 2-0 Man U at the most. It could even be 1-0, but I'm going to go with 2-0.
Oh no,
I honestly can't see Palace getting a look in. There are going to be goals guaranteed.
Next up, Arsenal, West Ham.
Absolutely
I think we're all probably going to agree on this. West Ham are going down, or if not, they're going to be very close to getting relegated. Arsenal are looking much better. They've got Willian. He was huge on the weekend.
He's a good one to start talking about. He was excellent, and I think
8 million,
he's going to continue to do so.
And he was on the free kicks and the corners as well. I didn't know if he'd instantly be on that, but
I'm low-key wanting to look at getting him in as well, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking about that too, because he's playing basically on the right side, equivalent to Aubameyang, but he's also taking the free kicks.
I'm going to give him a couple more weeks.
We'll see how it goes.
I look at Arsenal's midfield. There are a lot of opportunities to rotate. I feel if it's not Willian, it could be Reece Nelson, it could be Pepe, it could be Saka. It could be Willock. Like there are a lot of players who kind of dip. Smith Rowe is coming through. Like that's 5 players already who are kind of not really competing, because I feel like Willian is firmly number 1, but he's old, right? You're going to have to be rotating. There's cup competitions, there's Europe, there's all of these things to consider. I do feel like he's a bit risky for me in terms of nailed down starter for the next 38 game weeks.
One thing I will say, if you look at the minutes played last year from Chelsea, I think he was number 2 in that list.
Oh well. So he's got the legs. Like he's
getting on like a little bit, but when he plays for a long time.
I think the one thing that made it pleasing for me is he was a free transfer for Arsenal. He came in, he got 3 assists on his debut, and he's meant to be one of the older players who's passing down that knowledge onto the younger generation coming through. And sure, that's probably still the case, but to get 3 assists on your debut, to actually be performing at this level at his age, I'm chuffed. I mean, he could even be for the next 2 years doing that. Like he feels like he's getting better as he goes on.
Yeah, for sure.
100%.
He's aging like a fine wine.
So Southampton Spurs is next, and
this is an interesting one.
I think I agree. This is an interesting one. Spurs were poor. Both teams lost. But I feel like if there was going to be an upset, I feel like this is a fixture where Southampton could do something. I'm going for a draw, but I think this is 1-1 written all over it. But
I was going to agree with you.
Yeah, it has a draw written all over it.
I think this is Danny Ings, Harry Kane, both getting on the board, and that's it.
I just can't see Mourinho letting Spurs get away with the draw. So I think they're going to go all out. I think Southampton are going to play excellent, but I just feel the extra quality that Spurs are going to be bringing to the table, I think they're going to literally just edge it, and it's going to be controversial, but it's going to. I'm calling a 2-1 to Spurs on that one. It might be like a really late goal right at the end.
It's worth mentioning. I think was it Bednarek who went off injured in the Southampton game? So Harry Kane versus the second string centre back for Southampton could be a little bit worrying.
Definitely.
I also think that I'm going to keep Son in for this fixture, and I'm not going to bring Fernandes against my better judgment. And I just hope that for me not making a rash, quick transfer in that way, that Son actually turns up. I think they have to from that defeat against Everton. So
Son, I looked closely at Son, and I still am now. I feel like he's someone who dips in and out of games. He's a bit of an FPL king. He's obviously a midfielder.
He's a throughout FPL king.
For sure, he does get that clean sheet bonus if there is a shutout. But I was actually quite interested in Dele Alli, who plays he's such a number 10 that he's almost second striker. Like he is so close to Harry Kane when I was watching him. I'm thinking like he's had a bit of a dip of form really over the last 2 seasons. And he must do something right in training, because I wouldn't be starting him every game like Mourinho does. But whenever he's there, he's always in the right positions. And the one thing that makes me slightly nervous about Son is that if he does continue to drift out wide, you've almost got a Rashford on your hands where you've got an amazing player, but he's not at the top of the pitch. And that's always been the frustration for me choosing Rashford. When you're balancing that between Martial who is up there all the time. He's had an amazing pre-season. For me, as I mentioned before, Danny Ings has already come out of my team. Martial's gone in.
Has he? Oh, yeah.
He has.
That's big.
He has. I think it'll be challenging for the Golden Boot this season, Martial. I think he's done very well. But to get back to the get
you
back
can
to
have
the point,
a good. Honestly, that's a great move. Bringing in Martial.
Yeah, I think that's smart. I was looking at some variations of my wild card.
Listen to that.
Pretty much all of them included Martial.
I think Martial, he gets better every season, and he's still young. He's 24. He's got a lot to learn. But every season I've watched him, especially last season, I was fascinated. You've got someone like Rashford who does drift out to the left, and he comes back a little bit deep, and he's so pacey he can get forward very, very quickly. And you've got Bruno Fernandes pushing on. I think for me, actually, the question about Man United, which I don't want to get away from, next week's fixtures because we're moving through those now. But where does Donny van der Beek fit in there? Because you got him, Pogba, Fernandes, Matic, Fred. You got McTominay, who has been going from strength to strength. You got 6 very, very good central players. And if you're looking at, Fernandes, I think who will always be a cam, and you've got Van der Beek maybe alongside him. Does Pogba fit in the hole?
I don't think you're not playing Van der Beek.
I think
Pogba's going to struggle. He struggled last season,
I don't think he's going to struggle, but I don't think he's going to be an FPL turn-up this year. I think he's probably going to sit in and take more of that Matic role, and you're going to have Van der Beek and
does he fit
Fernandes sitting in front.
Is Pogba a central defensive midfielder? I feel like that's a waste of one of the best players in the world.
Yeah, it totally is, but why are you going out and buying Van der Beek if not to play him there as well? You've just gone and spent a lot of money on a player who, he's not going to play, or he's going to play out of position?
For sure. No, you're right. And this is why Game Week 2 is so interesting. And a lot of people are starting to lump on the likes of Fernandes, expecting him to, I'm sure he will do what he did last season, which was phenomenal amounts of points, and penalties and free kicks and all the rest of it. But it does probably raise, for me, a bit of a question mark around, you've just spent £40 million on a player. Where's he going to play? Is he a bench player that you want to reinforce the squad? Like, probably not. He's going to be someone who starts, but who do you take out of that equation? It's going to be interesting.
Yeah, I think it is interesting, and just to mention, I think it's a given. You need to get Fernandes in. I believe with the fixtures coming up, just how he plays and how United they're going to play a lot better than they were last season, and yet, especially coming up to, we don't know when the double game week is going to happen, but I'm going to assume that it's going to be on this side of the year, and you're going to want the best players from United and City. And it'd be interesting to. I don't want to use my free hit on it that early in the season. I'm going to try and wait out for my wild card. However, it just got to make sense.
Makes sense.
Yep.
So next, Newcastle Brighton.
So I actually think that Newcastle played quite well at the weekend. I think they're going to have a better season than they did last, and I think they might even get into the top half this season.
They're not going to get in the top half. But
do you know what? I think they've looked better.
Sure.
St. Maximin looks dangerous.
Right bang in the middle.
Wilson and Carroll look like a decent partnership. I think they've done okay. Right. I think it's going to be maybe 1-0, maybe 2-1, but I think they're probably going to take Brighton.
Yeah, well, let's see. We don't know what Brighton's going to be like against Chelsea yet. I'm looking forward to that game. I literally can't wait. But yeah, at home, I think with what we saw when they went away, I believe that Newcastle will take it as well.
I think they were very good in game week 1. They completely deserved the victory. Great goal by Jeff Hendrick, by the way. What a finish from the centre midfielder. I do think we haven't seen Brighton yet. We are recording this on Monday evening before 8 o'clock, the kickoff, or 8:30, whenever it is. I think Brighton have done very well in recruiting at the back. That's the one thing I'd say. For me, they've got Lamptey, who was already there last season, done very well. They got Veltman and Ben White ready to go. I feel the two of them are going to be. Ben White was excellent for Leeds. But I think they put in a bid for 25 million and it was rejected. Like, we're talking about someone who's a young English player who got a team promoted, finished first place. If he shows the same sort of form like he did last year, and he's playing alongside Adam Webster and Lewis Dunk, there could be, for me, there could be a reason where you get a lot of shutouts. I haven't got Matt Ryan, which does scare me in my team because he was someone who I was him or McCarthy. What's it going to be? I ended up choosing McCarthy, and I think that was a mistake. I think it was a mistake. I should have stuck with Ryan.
I thought you did. I thought you were going to. Yeah.
I was. And I said on the last pod I was going to do it. It got to the. Because I was debating between.
Did you panic just like me?
No. Do you know what it was? I was looking at Kyle Walker-Peters, and I really liked the look of him.
Same. That was a mistake.
It got to a point where I thought I can afford Reece James, and I've taken a punt on him. And I did want to have two. I did not want to have two Southampton defenders, so I ended up going for a goalie because they got a nice run of fixtures. I'm hoping they'll come off. He was decent last season, McCarthy. He was up there with Pope in terms of points.
Yeah, he's not a bad goalkeeper, and he'll playing inside like Southampton, there'll be attempts, and he'll make saves.
Yeah.
Well, let's see. Tune in next week to see if there's going to be any more crying from Jez or myself. Or even Jack.
Or me.
Look, I think we can say fairly certainly.
We don't know how Ryan's going to be like. We don't know if Brighton are going to be able to keep a clean sheet. And yeah, it's going to be interesting.
I think we can say with absolute certainty that all of the players that I've picked will not turn up next week. So
yes, and
don't do like Jez does.
For our listeners to know not to bring in.
Yeah.
Go on, list them off.
List off my entire team?
Yeah.
Okay, so from back to front, I've got McCarthy. Hang on, who have I got? I've got McCarthy. I've got Trent Alexander-Arnold, Reece James, Kyle Walker-Peters, what's his name? Matt Doherty, Heung-min Son, Mo Salah, Aubameyang. I've got Saka, big mistake, Mitrovic and Wilson, and I've also got Dallas, who this week came off the bench and got 3 points for me. I think Dallas is going to be an assist king. I'm definitely keeping him in.
So just to confirm for our listeners, do not have that team. You're gonna fall flat.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Chelsea
next game.
versus Liverpool.
The big one.
There's a big one. Yeah.
Chelsea. For me, it's going to be Chelsea. I think it's going to be a goal fest. I think it's going to be 3-2.
I think Chelsea's defense is a lot better. I do also think that Liverpool are going to score. But I'm gonna say Chelsea, probably maybe even a 4-2 to Chelsea.
Wow,
4-2 Chelsea, bloody hell! I think Liverpool have got this. I think they're going to win because I know.
Do you?
I do.
Okay.
I think they're going to grind out results. I feel like they did that very well last season. They got a very, very good defense, better than Chelsea's, must add.
Do you think? No, you're taking the piss now. You're taking the piss. Liverpool's defense is not better than Chelsea's. Not they literally have no. Maybe as attacking, maybe, but Marcus Alonso, and I'm not going to name the others because I can't. They are also very good at going forward. And
I think going forward, fantastic. But if you've got Chelsea, they've got Thiago Silva. He's a very good player. Actually, he's a very good player. I don't even want to talk about his age because I think he's 35, but he is incredible, in great shape. It feels like he's getting better every year, to be honest, even at that age. Liverpool have a better defence than Chelsea. There's the stats say it last season. The players are better. You got someone like the fullbacks are the best in the world. Alexander-Arnold and Robertson.
Yeah, again, very attacking. And we literally saw against Leeds that, they had no defence. Do you think they're going to tighten up now playing against Chelsea? Is that what you're thinking?
I think they will. I think Joe Gomez I think he's got a lot to learn. He's still not the centre-back that Klopp wants, but he does have the best defender in the world right next to him. So I feel like it's the perfect place to learn. Look, they won the season last year by a country mile. I don't think they'll do it again this year, but to get to that stage, you've had to be able to learn how to not concede goals. They got one of the best goalkeepers in the world as well. The one thing that we're still yet to see is Chelsea, which is why it's so exciting this evening. What is that? Ziyech, Pulisic, Havertz, Werner. We're not even talking about Abraham, who had a very, very good year last year. Like, this is an amazing squad who could trouble anyone. They might get the Champions League another go, I'm not sure. But I think in this game, you're still going to get Liverpool come on top. I think they've got the best attack in the world for sure. Best attacking team in the world and a very good defence as well.
Even against City, I don't know, man. I think City have got the best attacking midfield.
Firmino, Mane, and Salah for me are still the best.
I tend to agree. I think City's midfield is better than Liverpool's, but I think Liverpool's attack is stronger.
I think for sure. We can talk about that all day.
Leicester versus
Burnley. Burnley, another side who didn't play in game week 1. This will be an interesting one.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how this turns out. I think Burnley, they were a fortress at the back, which is kind of surprising.
It's not going to be the same this one, I don't think.
I don't think it's going to be the same this week.
It's going to be insane.
I think Leicester's going to get over them, but purely because they're at home, and I think it'll be close. I reckon it's either a 1-0 or a 2-1.
I'm calling Leicester. But, it might be an upset. It might be. It could. Do you know what? It's probably even going to be a 0-0 draw. So get them in midfield, get them in defence, and you're probably going to get a clean sheet.
I can't see Burnley scoring too many goals in this, but I can see them shutting out a lot. So it's either going to be a narrow. I feel like it's going to be a narrow win for Leicester, or it'll be a draw. I'm going to go for a draw, 1-1. I feel like it's going to be a very, very tight game, quite a boring one, not one for the neutral. However, the next game, Aston Villa, Sheffield United, I feel like that will be one of the more exciting games of game week 2.
That'll be a big one.
I tend to agree. I think Sheffield won't be as strong at the back this season because they've lost Henderson, and Ramsdale's not a bad keeper, but he's not as good as Henderson was last year. I think they've probably tailed off a little bit with their momentum, having progressed from the Championship and got off to a flying start in the Premier League. I think that Villa have done well to get Ollie Watkins in their side. Do you know what? This might even be a Villa win. I think it's going to either be a draw or go Villa's way.
Yeah, I mean, you can't forget Grealish and you can't forget Ollie Watkins as well. I think they will turn up.
And also, Sheffield, you know what? I think that
After
Sheffield
what really happened at home, they've literally just conceded 2 against Wolves.
They're missing a striker there, aren't they? Who is Sheffield's gun striker?
Sheffield's going to struggle this season. I don't think they're going to have the same season as of last. And honestly, I think Riddler's going to do this one.
I think Sheffield have missed out big time in the transfer window just gone. They need a striker. They should be looking at somebody, I don't know, like Tammy Abraham, lure him away from Chelsea because he's not going to start there.
Joshua King.
Josh King.
Yeah.
He is well good enough to play for Sheffield. He would relish that opportunity too. And he's not that expensive.
They've made some very strange signings, Sheffield United. They got Mousse. Oliver McBurney cost 20 million. I mean, what the hell was that all about? It's a very, very strange set of transfers. I do think that they overperformed last season. They are a good team. They're obviously losing still 2-0 against Wolves. But you are talking about a team who have been there. They narrowly missed out on Europe if we're really going to go that far. They were very, very good last season. I don't think they will. I don't think they'll win this game.
No,
I equally don't think they'll lose. For me, it's going to be a draw.
Interesting.
Okay. And Wolves City to round it up. Do we even need to answer the question?
No. Do you know what? With how Wolves have played against Sheffield right now, I think it's going to be a hard game for both teams. And yeah, I think City will take it. Come on, it is City, but it's not going to be a given. And I think they're going to put up a huge fight. Wolves are going to put up a huge fight, and yeah, I am going to call it for City, but I'm going to say that Wolves are going to play excellent, and they're probably going to deserve a point, but they're going to lose.
Yep, that's fair. Jack, what do you reckon?
I think City are going to win this one. I think, interestingly as well, I think they're going to keep a clean sheet, which is something that they didn't which is something that they didn't really
let's
do
have Jim pronounce that.
A clean sheet.
A keen sheet.
Sleet. A clean sheet. Jack, that was you last podcast,
Oh, jeez.
That was me. I can't even speak. What's going on? Clearly too many
I meant
beers.
when you went to the toilet. I don't hear any toilet sounds this one over.
But the one thing, no, I've been firmly sat in the living room. But the one thing that City didn't do last season was keep clean sheets, and I do think that they will this time round. And I think they'll kick it off with not conceding against Wolves, which will be a good precedent for how they want to continue with the season.
I am going to disagree with you. I'm going to say that, well, City are going to win the game. I think it might be 3-1 or 3-2. I'm still not convinced by City's defence, and I would not want to be Laporte or whoever else is going to be out on that side, Marc and Traore.
Interesting.
And for everyone that's listening, which again, it'll just be Jim, myself, listening back, put your comments, what are your thoughts, and also join our FPL league. You know, we have our own league that you're welcome to join. Just ask away, put it in the comments, Spotify, Twitter, YouTube. Yeah, ask.
We are everywhere, absolutely. I think, it's worth reiterating, we are recording this on a Monday evening. It's 7:55. And what we do have, fortunately, is the Chelsea and Brighton lineups, and it's probably worth finishing the podcast and actually just running through these teams because it's interesting, certainly for us, having a couple of players left to go in some cases, or maybe 3 or none. I'll start with Chelsea. They have got Kepa in goal. I'm very, very thankful to see that Reece James is starting at right back, which is phenomenal. At centre back, they've got Zuma and Christensen, so no Rudiger, he's on the bench. Left back is Alonso. Chilwell obviously still injured, but I'm sure that will happen in no time. Jorginho and Kante in the holding roles. And then you've got what looks like 3 in the middle. So you've got Ruben Loftus-Cheek, which is
I'm so happy about this.
Pleases me tremendously. What a player.
Suck on that, Jim.
And just mention the forwards, Jack. Please mention the forwards. Who's starting?
So 3 players left. You've also got Mason Mount, who I know will play in a number 10 role.
Also interesting, he's a great value to bring in, and he's going to be starting, yeah.
I'm surprised that he's starting, to be honest.
He is starting. He's a very good player. Had a good season last year. He definitely deserves his place. And I was wrong about this one. And it pays me to say, but Kai Havertz does start, number 29 for Chelsea. He is in the number. He's playing what looks like a left wing position, but inevitably he'll be cutting inside behind Timo Werner, number 11, who is playing right at the top of the pitch. We all thought that would happen. I think this is fascinating. Azpilicueta is a sub, and he is the club captain. I don't know whether that sets a precedent for where he'll be for the remainder of the season.
I think he's past it.
But he's clearly on the substitutes bench.
Frank Lampard, he's looking to play a different type of football. He's looking to be more attacking. Like, don't get me wrong, Azpilicueta, he's been a great player to have at the club. He's a great influence on the younger players, all of that. But he doesn't have the same legs as Reece James. He doesn't have the same attacking style and the flair. I think that Lampard's just trying to look to move in a different direction.
For sure. No, I agree with that. Just to complete the bench, obviously Rudiger we've mentioned, Ross Barkley's there, Tammy Abraham, Willy Caballero, Giroud, Hudson-Odoi, who should be getting more games, and of course Azpilicueta. And we cannot forget Brighton. They got Matt Ryan in goal. What's looking like a 5 at the back.
They've gone for a 3-4-3.
I think it looks like it for sure. They've got Dunk, Webster, and White in the middle. I think that is a really, really strong centre back.
That is
threesome there. You've got for sure. You've got Lamptey on the left. I'm guessing it's Alzate on the left. Lamptey on the right, Alzate on the left. In the middle of the park, Basuma, Lallana's there as well. And then I don't really know where Solly March is going to fit in, but he's in the starting 11. And then you've got Trossard and Maupay as well, which is a really, really strong Brighton team. I don't think they'll turn over Chelsea, but it doesn't make me fear for their relegation. I feel like they'll have I think they finished 15th last season.
Yeah.
I think they'll be very comfortable.
They'll be better this time.
They'll be looking between 12th and 14th, maybe.
Definitely. I mean, this could be the revival of Adam Lallana, who's been quiet.
Honestly, I think he's going to be huge this season.
Yeah, I think he will be. And on the bench, it's worth finishing off that they've Dale Stevens, Aaron Connolly, Pascal Gross is there, Johan Bach. They've got Jason Steele in goal, Dan Burn, who was a regular at left back last season, and new signing Veltman, who is number 34 on the bench.
Surprised he's not playing.
Yeah, it is. For me too. Too early to see where he's going to fit. He can play centre back or right back. For now, he's on the bench. We'll see how he gets on.
I can't wait for this game. And
honestly.
And on that note, I'm going to prepare for it.
Yep. Don't forget to follow us on all the socials. We're on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at FPL Faff. And if you did want to join our fantasy league, you can do so with the league code DKSORK. That's DKSORK. If you want to feel good about yourself and watch your points go higher than mine, if you want to tell me about it in the comments, drop us a message on Instagram, Twitter,
Please,
or whatever.
Everyone join just so you can beat Jez. It's going to be great. He's going to try his best to be in the top 3. It's not going to happen. So
it's definitely not going to happen. Feel good about yourself. Join our fantasy league at FPL Faff and DKSORK.
Thank you very much.
Cheers, guys.
See you next week.
It's been good.
Later.
See you next week.
Bye.